Hey guys, just sitting here rigging up a few things in the boat, getting ready to go fishing here in Wisconsin. It's pretty unbelievable. We've had 60-degree days the last several days, which is unheard of. I mean, it's March 20th today. I'm doing the video. We've got no snow on the ground. The lakes, the rivers, everything is opening up. Normally, we don't lose ice here until mid-April. So we're like a month early. The trees are starting to bud. It's really unusual. But because of that, I know that we are going to be getting into the spawning season really quick. You know, for the most part, the fish here in Wisconsin will start spawning very, very shortly after ice out, because to get rid of the ice, that's when we start getting into those 60-degree temperatures. And on some of the darker bodies of water, so whether you're fishing the tannic stained lakes or the rivers, you're going to have 60-degree water temps really quickly. Like, it does not take long once that ice comes out for it to happen. And when that does, the fish are going to go right into their spawning phase. And, you know, it's pretty amazing how fast it happens here. You know, we don't have that pre-spawn period that a lot of the southern states have. It's just the fish, you know, the water warms up so quick, the fish know at that point, you know, our length of days are the same as what you guys have down south, if not longer. So, you know, once the ice leaves, this fish get that sunlight. They know there's plenty of sunlight to make their nests and have their eggs hatch. So it's really a quick process, like I said, and the water warms so quickly after that ice comes out. And I just wanted to touch on what I think is like the most underrated spawning bait. You know, and when I say bait, I'm talking like category of baits, not specifically one bait, but it's a topwater, guys. You know, I've got boxes of topwater baits. It's one of my favorite ways to fish, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that it generates really big bites. Largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, you will catch some of the biggest fish every year on a topwater bait. And a lot of people won't really start throwing a topwater until the spawn's over. Once those fish kind of get into that fry ball stage, and you know, you get into your shad spawns and into the summer months, that's when people love to throw their topwater baits. But I'm here to tell you guys, you should be throwing it pre-spawn into the spawn. And I know I've done some videos on cold water topwaters, cold water buzz baits, things like that. So you know that I'm a fan of using it really early in the year. But I'm talking specifically when fish are on beds. Specifically when you know there's a fish on a bed. You know, you're basically sight fishing with a topwater versus pitching, you know, some sort of creature bait or something into its nest. A topwater bait will get a lot of those fish to come up and hit that bait just as if they're chasing a bluegill or a shad or something out of its nest. I don't think they get the same pressure with a topwater bait as they do when people are going down the bank and throwing their, you know, stick worms or craws or whatever. Those fish really can investigate that bait and see it well. Versus a topwater that's suspended over the top of them, all they can kind of see is that silhouette. And I think a lot of times that just fools them into thinking it's a bluegill or something along those lines. And when those eggs start to hatch, and those eggs turn into fry, they all don't happen overnight. A lot of times you get, you know, there's always a few that are hatching before the others. So before you have a good fry ball developed, a lot of times those bass are guarding eggs and still have fry above them. And when that happens, a topwater bait is such a killer bait. You won't see a fry ball, but you can tell the way the fish are reacting that they're guarding fry as well as guarding eggs at the same time. So a couple of things I want to point out. When you do this, you know, I think you want to throw topwaters that are not really meant to cover water. So your popper style baits, prop baits are really good. You know, any sort of, but really what it comes down to is anything that you can throw and stop over the top of them. You know, I like throwing the really small choppos, anything that you can kind of put over the top twitch and keep it in place, but yet make some commotion. So whether that's your poppers, you know, or your small prop style baits, or, you know, your bluegill imitating baits, you want something that you can suspend over the top, let sit there, fish it like the you know, the guys tell you you should fish a hula popper. Throw it out, twitch it, and wait until the ripples around the bait dissipate, and then pop it again. That's exactly how you should fish it over a bed. You will generate a lot of strikes. And a couple of key tips with this, guys. One, in my opinion, you always want some sort of feathered treble hanging off the back. That, a lot of times these fish will not explode on your bait. They'll come up, your bait's sitting there, they'll come up and just suck in that feather. I mean, it's literally like a bobber. You'll be watching your bait, and a lot of times you can see the fish. They'll come up, they won't blow up, they'll just kind of grab the back treble, and you'll see your bait go down just like a bobber. It's really an incredible bite, but it happens so often. You know, it's amazing. Those fish will just come up and investigate it, and it's like they just want to taste that feather. And they'll get that treble hook, pull the bait down. Smallmouth will do this all the time, all the time. So because of that, one thing I like to do is I like to weight my back end just a little bit, so that instead of the bait sitting parallel to the water, I like it when the bait sits a little bit more like that. It makes it easier for those fish to come up and grab that feathered treble. So those are a couple of things to just keep in mind if you're gonna fish for spawning fish in this means. You also want to have super sharp hooks, because again, they're not trying to eat the whole bait. Most of the time they're coming up to investigate or just to chase that bait away. You know, they're used to chasing a bluegill and that bluegill getting out of there real quick. So in this case, you know, they come up and the bait doesn't move. So it's almost like they just want to nudge it and kind of say, hey, get out of here. This is my area. So give it a try, guys. I'm telling you, you throw top waters for spawning fish, you will generate more bites. And a lot of times those fish that you could sit for and fish like an hour, throwing all kinds of different plastics at them, you will get them to react like on the first or second cast with the topwater bait. So, you know, I'm not saying, guys, fish every spawning fish you see with a topwater, but you want to have one rigged up, ready to go, so that when that fish doesn't show interest in your other stuff, you can quickly throw a topwater over there, give it a handful of casts, let it sit right above their head, and see how they respond. I think you'll be surprised at how many of them will actually, you know, eat your bait and you can catch quickly on a topwater versus throwing whatever your favorite plastics are. So that's my tip for you guys. Give it a try. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you got specific topwaters that you think would work great for this strategy, leave it in the comment section. Share this on your social media pages. And if you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys.